Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I am Rajnikant and today's video we're gonna see how we'll write integration test for Springboard CRUD application. So one of my subscriber requested me to upload this video. So on the request, I'm uploading this one. So if you have not subscribed my channel yet, then please do subscribe it immediately and hit the bell icon to get all the notifications from my side, right? So this is my channel. If you see here, a lot of other videos are there. If you are interested, you can watch them as well, right? So let's quickly start today's topic, right? So integration test means suppose we do have a project and we do have different modules, right? So that time we'll combine all those modules and we'll test from end to end, right? That one is known as integration test. In simple, if you are considering a simple application, suppose a CRUD application, then testing whole the layer, right? So suppose from starting from controller to service layer and DAO layer up to inserting the data to DB, right? So that is entire is known as integration test. Means we'll deploy that application, and from that either UI or from that postman will hit the request and will check in the DB whether those data got populated or not, right? So that is known as integration test. So how we'll write that integration test using Springboard? Let's see. So already I have a CRUD application. I mean, if I'll develop that CRUD application from scratch, again it will take some time, 1 hour, who knows. So already I have a CRUD application already there with me. So on that application I will write integration tests. So if you see, this is that controller where all those endpoints are there. Here if you see add user, add multiple users, fetching a single user, fetching all the users, update a user and delete a user, right? So this is that controller, and URLs are present over here. So now let's see how we'll write that tests, right? So before writing the tests, let me show you this application is working perfectly. Sorry, working perfectly. So let's what is this application? Let's run this one. It's got started. Okay, so it's got started. If you see, the project got started, deployed. 9090 port, right? Already I have postman collection. Let's see, this is a get user I am doing. This is a get thing. Let's see it. You can see, right? User ID 1, my name and address. So if I'll give 2, it will Srikanth is coming, right? So this is working perfectly. Now let's write integration test for this one, for this application, CRUD application, right? So let's start quickly. So you can see src test in Java. In there, that package is there, com.tvp.crud, and here one class is class got generated, right? So this class will be generated while you are generating this application or generating this project, either from Spring Starter project or from anywhere. So it will generate this one. So to write that integration test, first what we need to do, we need to load that application context entirely, right? We need to load the application context entirely. So this Spring Boot test annotation will do that thing, right? So this will load the application context, but we want a web environment, right? So in that web environment, our application will be deployed and we'll hit the application to test that one, right? So we need to deploy our application in a web environment, right? So we need to specify here a web environment, web environment equal to, here we'll give that port number, web environment dot random port, some random port. That application will run in some random port, right? Now what we need, we need this port, right? So how we'll hit that application? With this one, with this thing, right? What will happen? Application context will be loaded and our application will be deployed into that embedded Tomcat server with some random port. Okay, so once that application got started and that Spring context got loaded, what we need to do? We need to call those REST endpoints, right? I will explain in details. So for that one, we'll take this port number, private int port. So this random port will bind at the rate local server port, local server port. So here we go. Next, what we need? So to call those REST endpoints, what we need? A REST template, right? But with this Springboard test, it will generate a REST template which is known as test REST template for testing purpose. Test REST template. If you see here, test REST template, test REST. Okay, take this one also private, and this one also will auto wire because this will be generated created by this auto wire. Okay, done. Now let's first test for get API, right? So what we'll do here, public void get user test. Okay, next what we'll do, we'll annotate this method with @test. Okay, basic JUnits @test. Okay, so here our application is already running on Tomcat server with some random port, right? So we need to hit that URL to get the result, to the get URL to get the result, right? So here first we'll take this URL, string URL equal to http : localhost : 80, sorry, this is running on some random port, right? Not 8080. So we'll take this port plus that URL, right? So what is that URL? Let's see. We are doing get user, right? This is that URL, and here this is the path variable. So put it here. Here we go. We have done. Now what we need to do? We need to hit that URL, right? So for that one, first we need to resolve this path variable things, and we'll create that HTTP entity, and then we'll hit that URL with REST template. I mean test REST template. So let's create those path variables. To resolve those path variables, so what we need to do? We need to create a map of string equal to path variable equal to new hash map. It's a diamond operator. We no need to again write those generics. Control Shift O to import those classes map. Okay, here we go. Next one, what we need to do, keep those values dot put. So with this ID, key as a ID, so what will be the value? So let's give here 2. So ID, for ID 2 we are fetching that user ID, user. Okay, so here that path variable is done. Now let's create that URI. So URI component builder, URI component builder equal to, this is a builder design pattern, right? URI components builder. So this class dot, here lot of methods are there, so we'll use from URI is from URI string, this one, and here we'll use this URL, right? So here we have done, sorry. Okay, now what we need to do after building this one, we need to, okay, we need to get that URI, but that's fine, I will show you what we need to do. With this test rest template, we need to do dot exchange what we need to take, URL HTTP method, URL HTTP method, okay, let's take this one. So first will be that URL, right? So first is that URL is what? URL is already there. Method, this is get method, right? method method dot or HTTP method, this one I guess, HTTP method dot get, and request entity. Okay, entity also we need to create, I forgot that one. So let's create this entity, HTTP entity string entity equal to new HTTP entity okay. So here we need to give body and header. Body, so here there will be no body, right? So body will be null, header also will be null. Here we go, entity will pass it, here. Request type, is not a path URL variables. No, this is some other method is there, we'll see. Entity, and here string dot class. Okay, cool. So here what we are doing, we are hitting that URL. So here we are providing on the test rest template, we are doing calling exchange method. Here we are passing URL, and here we are passing that method as a get, and entity, and what will receive that string, right? So we are getting this one. Okay, so here what will receive, response entity of string response. Okay, Control Shift F. Let me do a full screen here. Okay, so here what we have done, on the test rest template, we are calling exchange method, and here we are passing URL, right? But for this URL, we have not reserved this path variable, right? So for that one, what we need to do, we need to call this builder dot build and expand, build build and expand. So here we need to provide this path variable, and what we need to do, get URI or to URI, something will be there. Here we go, to URI. Okay, so to resolve those path variables, we have done this one, right? Hope you have got this one. So first what we have done, we have created a URL with string, then we have created path variables with a map, then we have created HTTP entity with headers, with a body and headers. As this is a get request, we do not have either any body and headers also not required. If you required, we will give it in that further tests, but here we have not required any headers as well. And here we have creating a URI component builder to resolve those path variables, right? And here we are calling this, on this extend method, we are calling this build and expand on builder object and passing that path variables, and we are converting into that URI. And this is the get method, that's why we are passing that get, and entity is that HTTP entity we are passing, and string is that expected result, right? So let's run this test first. Let's asset this assertion, right? As you see, asset equals, so this assertion is based on your things, right? So how you want to assert that one, either you can compare that HTTP status, or if you want to compare with some value. Suppose that in that user object you want to match that name in that way, that is based on your preferences. So let's compare here with the HTTP status. So HTTP status dot okay, and here also let's response dot get HTTP status, get status code. Okay, so here we have done. Let's print this one. Let's print this one, that body system dot out dot println and response dot get body. Okay, control shift F. Now let's run this one, and we're gonna see. Run as Junit Test. Okay, so if you see here, this is, we are getting that user object, and the test got passed, right? So now let's quickly, already I have written one test. Now let's quickly write other tests as well, right? So for other tests, now let's do a post request, public void mm, add user test, and here let's annotate with @test. Okay, so here what we'll do here, because this entire stuff will be repeated, right? This entire stuffs will be repeated. If we want, we can reuse this code with, we'll write these things, entire things in a common code, and we'll call that common code from all those test classes, right? So let me write that utility method, then we'll do, right? So let's give here pub, public response entity of string, do rest call, do rest do rest call. So here what we need, just see, first one URL we want, right? So let's give here string URL. Okay, next we want, what do we want? Okay, so here we'll give what? Query parameters. So query parameters will be it's a multi-value map, it's a string, so this is also a string, query param, then here we'll have path param. So path param will take, this is a map, string path param, then string body, right? Then headers, http headers. No, headers also, I think it's a multi-valued map. Oh, headers also multi-valued map. Let's copy paste this one. Header. What else we required? HTTP method. No, HTTP method. Actually here you can see in that method lots of parameters are there. If you want, you can create a separate class, and in that class you can take those attributes, right? Suppose take a class, some random class, and take that attribute string URL multi-value map. In that take a class and take these attributes and set those values and pass that class object to rest call, do rest call. If I'll do that one again, it will take lots of time. So though it's not recommended to write lots of parameters in that method, but I am doing here. Okay, fine. Now let's quickly develop this utility method. So URI, let's copy paste these things. No, copy paste these things. So URI component builder dot path variable. Where is this path variable? Path param, copy paste. HTTP method from here will pass. Where is this HTTP methods? Method, and here we'll give that entity. Entity means entity. Here we need to create that one, right? So HTTP entity string entity equal to new HTTP entity. What will pass here? Body and headers, right? So body headers, right? So here we'll give this entity. Okay, entity is already there. Then return this response. Perfect. Control Shift F, everything. So here what we are doing nothing, just we have created an utility method where we are passing all those required parameters, and we are creating that builder URI builder and creating that entity, and calling that resources with test rest template, and we are sending that result from this utility method, right? Now let's call this method from all those test classes. So add user test, we'll call this one, right? So for this one, I'm copying this string. Already I have this user controller, so here add user is that URI. So let's remove this one, add user. Okay, so next what we need, string body we require, right? String body equal to, so let's take this one. Suppose this is the node fair. Let's remove this one. So from here I'm taking, and let's take some other name. What name will take? John. Okay, so URL is there, body is there. So what else we required? HTTP entity not required, anything. Okay, this is fine, right? So header we required because this is a JSON, right? So we need to request a JSON. So this is multi-valued map, multi-valued map. Multi-valued map, we need to pass this one, right? Headers, new linked multi-valued map, and here headers dot put. If you see here, key and list of string we required. Key what we required? This is an application slash JSON, sorry, content type, content, sorry, content hyphen type, and here this would be a list of string al equal to new array list, and here control shift O, java.util.list. Okay, so here we need to dot add applica application slash JSON, and we need to pass this one to here. So we have done. So now let's call this one from here. So we need to pass URL, then what we need to pass? Query param, path param, body. Query param nothing is there, we'll pass null. Path param nothing is there, we'll pass null. And what else next? Path param, then body and header method, body header method. So body, where is this body? Body header method is post. Sorry, what happened? Method equal to http method post, not post. So here path parameter we cannot pass null, so we need to pass that empty one. Path param equal to new smap. We need to pass that empty path param instead of null. It will not take null. So response entity of string equal to this one, and here we'll do asset asset equals http status dot okay. So here that response dot get status code. Perfect. Right, now let's run this test and we'll see whether it's working fine or not. So here what we have done, nothing. URL is there, we have set that URL. Then this is the body, the string body, and here we have created that header with multi-valued map, and we are adding those headers. And here this is the path for empty path param, right? And here we are calling do rest call with URL and query parameters and path parameters with body and headers and this method, right? After getting the response, here we are doing asset http status okay and response dot get status code, right? Now let's run this one and we're gonna see. Run as JUnit test. Let's see. Perfect. If you see here, both the test got passed. Add user. Now let's see in that database whether that John got added or not. So just see 5 up to Rohit is there. Now let's do a query again. If you see John also added, right? So it's working perfectly. So this is that integration test. So the same way we can write for delete and update as well with this the same thing, right? So I will add those two tests to this integration test file, and I will post these changes to GitHub repository. You can access from there, right? So hope you understand how we need to write a integration test for a CRUD application, right? So if this video is helpful to you people, please do subscribe my channel, and yes, please give your valuable comments to that comment section so that it will boost me to create more such videos for you people, right? So thanks for watching.